You know, we always say that we're going to be here to talk with you about wrestling. And most of the time, we're really excited to talk about wrestling, and we're just, something big happened. There's always something to talk about. But did you guys watch the same ending to Monday Night Raw that I did? Like a tsunami through a car. Okay, did it feel weird to anybody else but me? I don't know. I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. Before I go any further, welcome officially to Squared Circle Radio Live here on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on podcast, that's fine too. We just appreciate you being tuned in with us. My name is Chris Belcher. I'm here with you for the next little bit as we talk some wrestling. Appreciate you being here. If it's your first time, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, the YouTube channel. If you're listening again on podcast, make sure you're following whatever platform that you have chosen. I would appreciate that so very much. If you're live with us on YouTube, drop your comments, drop your questions in the chat. I will get to each and every one of those. And even if you're watching the replay, you can drop comments as well. Like the video, share the show on your social media. We would appreciate that so very much. One thing that I do want to address off the rip is last week was a very difficult episode to get through in a lot of ways. If you are just now tuning in or you missed last week's episode, we did celebrate the life of my brother from another mother, the passing of my cousin, Jared Justice. We talked about that last week. Andy and I paid tribute to Jared, and we'll continue to pay tribute to Jared as this show goes on. He was more than just a co-host, but you'll see his fingerprints all over this podcast. But I tweeted earlier, and I put in the description of the show and all that kind of stuff, that there's going to be a special announcement that you don't want to miss. And I'm just going to get that announcement out of the way right now. I talked with the owner of SportsWire Radio. You hear from him every week on this show, the Reverend Tom Bryce. SportsWire Radio has long been our partners, I think for the past 4 years or so, maybe 5. It's been such a long relationship, I can't keep track of it. But they have been a loyal partner. They always play our shows. If you're listening to this show right now on SportsWire Radio, thank you so much. Please make sure that you support the brand, both on YouTube and on the regular radio station. Thank you so much for supporting Tom and the crew. But I talked with the Reverend earlier on today, and the decision has been made that along with Jared Justice, Andy York, and myself will be inducted into the SportsWire Radio Hall of Fame. And that is going to happen in the next week or so. So keep a lookout on your social medias for that ceremony, that special program. We will make sure to link everything on here as we discuss the history of our show, the history on SportsWire Radio, and what Jared and Andy have meant to this show, as well as my contributions, which apparently can't go unnoticed. But honestly, this is truly an honor, and I do wish Jared was here to share it with us, because Jared thought the world of Tom. Jared thought the world of SportsWire Radio, and it just means so much that the podcast that he and I created is going to be in a Hall of Fame somewhere. And that's awesome. It's so cool. I'm so moved by that. I'm so moved that this show has reached more people than I can ever imagine, thanks to SportsWire Radio. So for our podcast, for our show that's been running for 7 years now, to have reached people and to affect people enough that we are worthy of a spot in a Hall of Fame is just, it's mind-blowing to me. So keep it locked into social media at SQCircle_radio, at Chris Belcher 24. Make sure at Thomas Bryce 2017. Make sure that you are following him as well. That'll get you all of your programming information for SportsWire Radio and for us as we bring you a special program where myself, Andy York, and the late great Jared Justice, Squared Circle Radio, gets inducted into the Sports Wire Radio Hall of Fame. Wow, that's super cool. All right. As I mentioned in the intro, a very weird ending to Monday Night Raw. And I say weird because it just felt really like, I don't know, it didn't have a flow, in my opinion. I don't know what the deal was. I thought it was another really good promo by Braun Breaker. They're giving him the time, and he's stepping up and he's knocking it out of the park. And everything he said about wanting to face the old CM Punk and all that kind of stuff was really, really good. And I thought once this LA Knight and Logan Paul match was going, that it's like, this can't be the main event. There has to be something else, because it was going early. There has to be something else. So then Paul Heyman gets the mic and they go to commercial break, and I'm thinking, okay, we saw this masked man a couple of times tonight on Monday Night Raw. The same masked man who showed up at Survivor Series, showed up to help Logan Paul beat down Rey Mysterio earlier in the night, and then showed up to deliver a stomp on the head of LA Knight in the main event. So I thought, okay, maybe we're going to reveal this masked man. If this main event segment is to reveal Austin Theory as the masked man, if it's all for Austin Theory, okay. But I came away with the reaction anyway, because LA Knight apparently is getting help to the back and he wants to keep fighting. So Bronson Reed and Logan Paul take off while Braun Breaker is still cutting his promo. They get back there and they start beating up LA Knight again. Put him through a table. He's starting to get up, and then he gets a tsunami through the top of a car. I assume we're writing LA Knight off TV for some reason, if I had to bet. But there was nobody there to help him. No CM Punk tonight. No Jey Uso, no Jimmy Uso, no Cody Rhodes. No, not even Rey Mysterio to pop back up. LA Knight came to his aid earlier. He couldn't even pop back up to help. It felt weird. And I'll go ahead and talk about this now. I was going to talk about this surrounding John Cena's final match, because LA Knight was the runner-up in that tournament. But I'm going to talk about it right now. LA Knight had a history with John Cena. It was a dream match that everybody wanted to see. Going toe-to-toe on the mic. John Cena and LA Knight. And it didn't happen. It's not going to happen. Gunther gets the win. We're going to talk about Gunther versus John Cena here in a few minutes. So now what's next for LA Knight? Again, we saw the beatdown on Raw. It seems like that he's getting written off TV, but why? Is he coming back as a heel? Are we going to freshen up the character a little bit after he goes away? Is he going to realize he has no friends, so he's going to be a man on his own? He sort of is that anyway, but is that going to be solidified now with a quote-unquote heel turn by LA Knight? Personally, I said the John Cena match would have been a dream match. I would have liked to have seen LA Knight win, rather. Sorry for my grammar. I think I would rather have seen LA Knight defeat Gunther and be the man to face John Cena. Why? Because I think Gunther could get this rub without the win. LA Knight needs something. He needs a kick in the pants to get up the card, to solidify himself as something, because he's losing all the big time matches. You know, they say always the bridesmaid, never the bride. LA Knight is the dang maid of honor in every wedding coming and going in the WWE. When is LA Knight going to get a shot? Because I said it last week with Andy York, and I'm going to say it again. People are going to lose interest in this version of LA Knight if WWE doesn't pull the trigger, because I think a lot of people are sitting here scratching their heads saying he's pretty good in the ring. He delivered a pretty good main event tonight with Logan Paul. He delivered a great match with Gunther on Friday. So he has something in the ring. Obviously, he's got charisma. He's got the mic skills. He's got the character down pat. What are we missing? Obviously, that's for WWE to decide and not us. They know more about it than we do. But what are we missing with LA Knight? So I think people are going to get tired of LA Knight always being the bridesmaid and never the bride. So I feel like you're going to lose support for LA Knight. So what do you do? Do you turn him heel? I guess. Apparently not. Apparently you're going to put him through the top of a car. Bronson Reed's going to put him through a car. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I had an answer. I wish I could come on here and tell you that I have an answer for what they should do with LA Knight. Again, my answer would have been have him beat John Cena in his final match. Some people on the internet, if you believe what the internet is saying, it's like, well, they're just preparing LA Knight to win the Royal Rumble. I completely disagree. Completely disagree. There ain't no way that guy is sniffing the Royal Rumble. It's not going to happen. He's been feuding with the Vision since the summer, since probably June. When was that Saturday night's main event that he faced Seth Rollins? Because he's feuding with him a little before that. Seemed like he was one of the first opponents out of WrestleMania for Seth Rollins. So let's call it April. Just meet in the middle. May. Call it May. Doesn't matter. For the sake of this argument, LA Knight's been feuding with the Vision for the better part of 6 months, and he's no better off for it than when he started. So what's it gonna take? Yeah, he beat Seth Rollins on Saturday night's main event, but it's only to put over the ruse for Seth Rollins to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So what gives with LA Knight? What's next for him? Next is probably at home, taking a little vacay for a while. Again, I don't know why. Maybe he returns at the Rumble. Who knows? Maybe he ends up being the mastermind behind this Masked Man situation. I don't know, because he wasn't in War Games. Now the Masked Man obviously attacked him tonight, but I really don't know. I love coming on here and having solutions for things and saying, well, I would book it like this, or I'd book it like that. I'm throwing my hands up with this one because they're back to square one now with LA Knight. Maybe that's where they want to be. Like I said, maybe a fresh paint of coat, as Bruce Pritchard likes to say. By the way, shout out, Bruce Pritchard is back on Something to Wrestle With. That was one of my cathartic moments of the week in thinking about my late great brother from another mother, Jared Justice. He and I obviously started this podcast because of Bruce Pritchard and the Something to Wrestle With show, along with Conrad Thompson. And Bruce came back to the show, and I haven't got to listen to I'm putting off the John Cena episode, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But the Hulk Hogan episode with Bruce Pritchard just brought a huge smile on my face. So glad that Bruce Pritchard is back. I actually sent Conrad a message on Twitter and just thanked him for Bruce coming back and everything they've done and, all that kind of stuff. So shout out to Bruce being back. I know they're probably not listening to this show, but shout out to them anyway. All right. Swig a Mountain Dew for the worker man. Then we're going to talk about John Cena. All right. About a month or so ago, we find out on Saturday night's main event that there will be a tournament to determine John Cena's final opponent. Coming up on December the 13th, Saturday night's main event, live from Washington, D.C. And after a couple weeks, we finally saw the bracket. And you see here, this is a glimpse after the first round, several participants. We're going to go through this bracket here in just a minute. But it ended up coming down to, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, LA Knight and Gunther. With Gunther being victorious, and will now battle John Cena coming up this Saturday. So how do we feel about Gunther being John Cena's final opponent? Well, I've already told you how I would have booked it. This is not exactly how I would have booked it. I'm not saying Gunther was the bad choice. Andy and I spoke about this last week. Andy and I have spoken about it for the last month or so, that Gunther was probably the man to win this tournament. But another feeling that comes up when I think about this tournament is how much I hate the internet. You guys hear me talk all the time on this podcast. If you're new to this podcast, maybe this is news to you. But if you've been around here for a minute, you know that we don't like internet rumors and we don't like spoilers. And the dirt sheets just ruin wrestling, if I'm being honest. And I know that my audience is on the internet. I get that. But this is also my show. And if I didn't voice my true opinion, it wouldn't be a good show. It wouldn't be entertaining. So the internet, a long time ago, I think even before Gunther went out with his nose injury, said that Gunther was going to be an opponent on John Cena's farewell tour. Okay. I think we all wanted that. Definitely a opposites attract kind of thing. Contrasting styles, if you will, between John Cena and Gunther. So certainly a match that we want to see. Old school, new school, whole 9 yards. So certainly a match that we want to see. But then the internet obviously spoiled a long time ago this tournament concept. So when Gunther goes out, we don't see him for a long time. Obviously, you put 2 and 2 together, Gunther's going to win this tournament. Now, also, you look at the participants in this tournament, which again, we're going to talk about those here in just a minute. But it was pretty obvious this thing was coming down to Gunther and LA Knight. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, they're not ready to pull the trigger on LA Knight for some reason. So Gunther, the ring general, is the final opponent for John Cena. And again, I'm not upset by this. I think this is going to be a fantastic match. And I think it's probably the right opponent for John Cena because Gunther also ended Goldberg's career earlier this year. And now if he ends John Cena, he's going to end John Cena and Goldberg's career in the same year. And we're headed towards a 2-night SummerSlam in Minneapolis coming up this year. Whose hometown is Minneapolis? Brock Lesnar. So if you play your cards right, if we're playing long-term chess here, we're building up Gunther to be this career killer. And then maybe he faces Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam and ends Brock Lesnar's career as well. A lot of people don't like this. A lot of people aren't fans of this. A lot of people think that John Cena should pass the torch to a younger guy. Well, as Sam Roberts said on his show earlier today, when you pass the torch is already burning. It's not like you're passing a torch that is not lit, or you're passing a torch that can be lit in 2 to 3 years. No. You're passing an already burning torch. John Cena's already passed that torch to Cody Rhodes. He did that at SummerSlam. That's done. So this is not like John Cena versus Javon Evans kind of situation, or John Cena versus Carmelo Hayes in the finals. Those guys are going to beat him. No. Gunther is an established star. Gunther is an established heel. Think about this. For those of you who might be upset, let me just paint some logic for you about why Gunther is probably the best choice to face John Cena. What is the wrestling world based on? Storytelling, right? Good guys and bad guys. And the majority of wrestling, let's call it 75 to 85% of wrestling, the story is based around this big, bad, dastardly heel that everybody pays money to see the babyface whip. And in the olden days, in the 70s and 80s, Ric Flair was that heel. Nick Bockwinkel was that heel that everybody paid to see Ray Stevens, to see Dusty Rhodes, to see Ricky Steamboat, to see Sting. Go get those heels. And they thought, man, this is the night. This is the one. They're finally going to lose. And what would happen? 45-minute Broadway. DQ. Count out. Oh, the babyface wins, but they don't win the championship. The heel champion escapes. So that legend that wrestling was built on continued in the 90s with Hulk Hogan as Hollywood Hogan. WCW stayed, their business stayed alive for a year and a half on Sting chasing Hogan. For a year and a half. Fast forward to WWE, Brock Lesnar. After beating The Undertaker. He's that heel that everybody chased. Roman Reigns just got out of a 1,300-day championship reign as what? A heel. Biggest business WWE has ever done coming out of the pandemic with Roman Reigns as champion. As a what? As a heel. Now, I know most of the argument is not that John Cena can't lose to a heel. But guys, it's wrestling 101. As much as I wanted LA Knight to beat John Cena in his final match, it's traditional. Babyface versus heel. And John Cena's going out on his back. He said it publicly that Triple H wanted to do an entire Saturday night's main event dedicated to John Cena. And he said, no. I don't want to do that. I want to showcase NXT talent. We're going to talk about some of that NXT talent here in just a little bit. But John Cena made that call. And if John Cena makes the call in this final match against Gunther, John Cena is going out on his back. Gunther is the same way as all those heels. He's the no fun guy. We're excited about John Cena. We want to see John Cena. Boom. Gunther going to put him down. Gunther's going to ruin our fun. Just like he did when he choked out Jey Uso to win the championship back. Just like he did when he choked out LA Knight the other night. I will say this. I hope Gunther does not choke out John Cena in his final match. I really hope that doesn't happen. I think it needs to be a pinfall victory. I do not need to see John Cena tap out. I don't need to see John Cena pass out. But I do believe that Gunther will win John Cena's final match. Now, obviously, we'll celebrate John Cena after that. Will there be some aftermath? Who knows? We'll be tuned in right there to watch it. We'll be tuned in right here live on Squared Circle Radio. The plan is to go live immediately following Saturday night's main event as we celebrate John Cena's final match and what we witnessed. And then I already mentioned the Hall of Fame induction next week. The week following that, the week of Christmas, we will drop a John Cena retrospect episode. It'll be myself and Andy York, and we're going to talk all about John Cena's career, some of our favorite matches, favorite moments, favorite opponents, and we'll dive into his controversial retirement run. So, John Cena retrospect coming up the week of Christmas. So don't miss that. All right. Let's take a little pause for the cause. I've mentioned him several times. Couldn't do this show without our brother, the Reverend Tom Bryce in Sports Wire Radio. If this is your first time checking out Sports Wire Radio, there's something for everybody. Listen to this commercial. We'll be back on the other side.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because Sports Wire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, Sports Wire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on sportswireradio.org, and you can also catch Sports Wire Radio anytime on YouTube at Sports Wire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. Sports Wire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on Sports Wire Radio. I am your host, the owner of Sports Wire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
Thank you, Tom Bryce. Thank you for all you do for Squared Circle Radio, including inducting us into the Sports Wire Radio Hall of Fame. I can't believe it's a real thing, but it is. We're going to do it, so stay locked into our social media. We'll keep you updated on when that program is going to happen, and we will certainly point you in the right direction where you can watch that sucker live, or you can also watch the replay, whatever suits you. My name is Chris Belcher. This is Squared Circle Radio Live, immediately following Monday Night Raw. And we talked about it at the top, what a weird Raw it was. If you missed it, just rewind this episode. Go back and watch it in the archives. Go back and check that out. It was interesting. That's for sure. Also, talking about John Cena and Gunther on Saturday night's main event. Before we talk about the John Cena tournament as a whole, and before we talk about one more thing from Monday Night Raw that grabbed our attention tonight, let's talk about what else is happening on Saturday night's main event. Because, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, John Cena's final match is not the only thing happening this weekend as Saturday night's main event. QB1 is in action. The American Nightmare, WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, in an exhibition match against NXT's Oba Femi. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I wish I knew more about Oba Femi. I know that a lot of people are high on him. I know that he's got a bright future in this business. I know he's a big boy, and Cody Rhodes better look out. But it's going to be interesting to see how this match plays out, honestly, because so many people are so high on him. And he's the NXT champion. He just beat Ricky Saints over the weekend at Deadline to earn this match. Do you want to beat him already? Like, you're already putting yourself in a bad position to have your main champion go up against the NXT champion. You beat him and it feels like that the NXT champion means nothing. You beat the WWE champion. It's like, well, what are we doing here? So I don't know. I don't know how they do this. I assume this opens the show. If John Cena is going to close the show, I assume this opens. Maybe the tag match opens that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But clearly, I think Drew McIntyre gets involved in this match. He and Cody Rhodes are not done. A hot start to Friday Night SmackDown this past week with Cody attacking him in the car and then just marching directly to the ring and cutting that passionate promo. So clearly they're not done, which is weird because I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys watched SmackDown just like I did. Was there not this interaction that you're seeing on your YouTube screen between Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black and Zelina? Like, did Cody and Aleister not have a match? And is that just a weird one-off? We're going to talk about Aleister Black here in a minute, but is that just a weird one-off? It's weird because Andy York said that the War Games felt like Cody was the odd man out. And I don't know. Maybe some injuries caused some weird situations with Cody. Nonetheless, though, let's circle back. The Oba Femi match does seem like that Drew is going to get involved. I think that's where I was trying to get to. Circle back to that point, that Drew McIntyre is probably going to have something to say about this match. So maybe we don't get a clean finish so that it doesn't hurt Cody and it doesn't hurt Oba Femi either. I don't know. I will be interested to see how Cody does. It's going to be a fine match. But Cody's stacking up against a big guy. That's not really something we've seen from Cody Rhodes since he's been back to WWE, really. He had the 3 matches with Brock Lesnar. That was in 2023. But Cody against like a big guy. Drew's a big guy, but it's not Oba Femi. We saw him against Gunther in the Royal Rumble, and then one match for the Crown Jewel Championship. But nothing consistent that we've seen Cody against a big guy. So that'll be an interesting matchup to watch. Another one of the NXT showcase matches. Again, someone that I wish I knew a little more about. NXT is just it's not in my viewing guide on a weekly basis. And it's not that I think that it's a bad program. I just don't have time for it. But Sol Ruca, former tag team champion, I believe, who we've seen pop up on the main roster a couple times, is going to take on Bayley. Now, we talked about Bayley, I think it was last week before last, I believe. And I don't know where the split personality situation has gone. I don't know why it's gone. I don't know what happened to it. Like she was at ringside tonight with Roxanne Perez on Raw, and it was like, against Roxanne Perez with Lyra Valkyria. It was like she was normal in this backstage interaction with Sol Ruca on SmackDown. She did the when she walked in, she did the ding dong hello. Okay, maybe that's a callback to the other character, but there was nothing else. So this was some momentum that Bayley really needed after getting pulled from the WrestleMania match. And it's like they stopped it in the tracks. Got it stopped before it got started. Dennis Durst in the comments. Hey, guys. Yes, sir. Appreciate you joining live with us. City Kitty back live with us. Thank you so much. Thought it would be Ricky Saints against Cody. That was the obvious thought. I think that it would be Ricky Saints and Cody. But I don't know. I guess Cody can't wrestle his best friends all the time. If he could, it'd be AEW. And that's why we're all in WWE and not in AEW. I digress before I get myself in trouble. Dr. Durst back in the chat. Bronson Reed and Logan Paul need to be suspended. I will be interested to see the aftermath. I opened the show, and again, if you're just now popping in, rewind to the beginning of the show. I gave a few thoughts on the ending of Raw. I'll be interested to see how they handle it afterwards. because I honestly, the way that Raw kind of started and the weird interaction with Logan Paul and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, I thought they were kicking Logan Paul out tonight. I really did. I thought that was going to happen. I was wrong. So I'll be interested to see how they handle this afterwards. Again, I mentioned it earlier. I think LA Knight's going away for a little bit. I think that angle was to write him off TV. I don't know why, but I do think he's going away for just a little bit. All right, one more match here, a Saturday night's main event to discuss, and that is the Raw Tag Team Champions AJ Styles and Dragon Lee will battle the NXT sensation that we saw in the John Cena's final match tournament, Javon Evans and his tag team partner, Leon Slater from TNA. Leon Slater was in NXT for a while, but mostly I think it was during the pandemic, so we didn't get to see a lot of him, or a lot of people weren't watching. So it'll be a fantastic match. If it's anything like we've seen the last 2 weeks with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending their Raw Tag Team Championship last week against the New Day, and then tonight against the War Raiders, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Obviously I want to see AJ Styles in a great singles run to end his career, but this Dragon Lee partnership is working and it's pretty good. Some good stuff, especially tonight where we saw the Usos reinsert themselves into the tag team division, want to crack at that gold. I'll be interested to see if that results in a Jey Uso heel turn or what happens with that. But the Usos are the GOAT tag team for a reason. And I don't know. It's like all is right in the world with them getting back in the tag division. Did you see Dragon Lee lift Ivar, Dr. Durst, in the chat? Yeah, that was, some spots that you take chances on doing. And that was definitely a chance they were taking that did not work out in their favor. City Kitty, excited for that one. Yes, the Usos reunited in the tag division. We'll see how long it lasts. I don't know. I'd like to see the Usos and the New Day run it back a time or two. And then you get the Usos in there with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. That'll be a lot of fun. So, but AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leon Slater coming up at Saturday night's main event this weekend. Again, if you missed it, we're going to do our best to be live for you right after Saturday night's main event here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. That way that you are locked in with us. You can join in on the live show immediately following John Cena's final match this Saturday. May even have a special guest or two joining me this coming Saturday. All right. Appreciate you guys being live with us in the chat. Dr. Durst, one of my old college professors, hanging out with us. City Kitty, our loyal viewer, hanging out with us in the live chat. If you're new to the show and you're hanging out with us, drop those comments, drop your questions in the live chat. Would love to interact with you. It'd be a whole lot of fun. It's what makes this show fun. That's what drives this show. Want to talk about what you want to hear about. And that's it. The interactivity, interactivity between me and you guys. That's what drives this show. All right. As I'm stumbling over my words, swig a Mountain Dew for the working man. Got one, maybe two more segments we want to talk to you guys about before we get out of here. Hang tight. All right. So, talked a little bit about it earlier, but I want to show this graphic one more time. I know you can't see all the participants in the tournament, thanks to a couple graphics and all those kind of things, but this is a graphic of the 16 participants in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. So now that it's over, I thought we could look back at this tournament and just talk about it. Not pick it apart, not take it to the woodshed, but just have a conversation about it. Back to the point I made earlier. I hate the internet. I hate that the internet spoiled this, talking about a tournament happening and all that kind of stuff. I hate that. What I also hate is looking at the field. I'll flash the graphic back up again if you're watching on YouTube. Looking at the field, aside from LA Knight and Gunther and Jey Uso, this thing is largely made up of mid-card talent. So you sort of knew right away, once you saw all 16 participants, it's like, couldn't you have gotten some better guys in this? Where's Drew McIntyre? Heck, where's Cody Rhodes? That would have been fun. Where's Logan Paul in this tournament? I know Bronson Reed was in it. You want to keep Braun Breaker away from it. I understand that. Heck, put Roman Reigns in this tournament. I know that the hang up that everybody had when this tournament was announced was that, oh, we want outside guys. We want Edge. We want Jericho. We want Batista. Well, the problem with all of them is they're going to have to make 4 entrances and win matches to get all the way to John Cena. So you're going to lose the surprise effect of them facing John Cena in his final match. So you can't have those guys. But let's talk about the 2 guys that they did get that didn't work here. We haven't really dove into this a whole lot. Obviously, some things have happened, but I want to spotlight Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, and Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, who were the 2 surprises in this tournament. Guys that did not work or currently do not work in the WWE. Obviously, they did before under the names Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder, but since being released, have made their name on the indies using their real names. The most wanted man, Nick Nemeth, and always ready, the complete Matt Cardona. Now, when they came back, a lot of people were upset because they wanted them to come back as their current self. Well, the old self had history with John Cena, and that's why they needed to come back as their old self. And a lot of people were upset that Matt Cardona had said that Zack Ryder was dead. Well, again, as I mentioned before, it was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast that he said he was ready to come back as Zack Ryder if they needed him to. He's going to make the best business decision for him. Don't you think the best business decision for him was to sign a temporary licensing deal with the WWE to get shirts made, to get cards made, to sell merch under the WWE banner again? Don't you think that's a better business decision for him? I think so. I mean, Cardona even said it, that the people who were upset that he didn't come back as Cardona, he came back as Ryder, they're not his real fans because they don't understand. That always ready is not just a moniker. He is always ready. He had 3 gears that he brought with him, 3 sets of gear to this match, just in case. Dr. Durst in the comments. Yeah, Randy Orton, there's another one. Omos, heck, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns would have been great to add to this tournament. You're 100% right. I think that what I like about Ziggler and Ryder being in this tournament is what I like about a couple of guys in the tournament. And I wish it was a requirement for this John Cena tournament. And that is somebody that has history with John Cena. That should require should be a requirement for the tournament. So Jey Uso being in the tournament makes sense. He eliminated John Cena from his final Royal Rumble. Okay, there's some history. I'll flash this comment from Dr. Durst back up on the YouTube screen. Omos, let's take him out of the equation. In this scenario, Brock Lesnar, big time history with John Cena, of course. We all know that. Roman Reigns, big history with John Cena. 2017, John Cena cutting the promo saying the only reason that I'm here is because you can't do your job, talking about Roman Reigns. And then Roman Reigns beat him at SummerSlam 2021. Randy Orton, one of John Cena's, if not John Cena's greatest opponent. We saw them wrestle at Backlash in St. Louis. So yeah, those guys have history. Gunther does not have history, so he would not qualify. LA Knight, mentioned it earlier. They were tag team partners. Special guest referee spot. Thought we were going to be opponents. And I think this is 2023. Yeah, I think it's right before John Cena wrestles Austin Theory. There's another one. Put Austin Theory in the match or in the tournament. Lots of guys you could put in this tournament that have a history with John Cena. I mentioned him earlier, but Cody Rhodes in the tournament. Sheamus, history with John Cena, belongs in the tournament. Rusev, history with John Cena, belongs in the tournament. The Miz, history with John Cena. Solo Sikoa. I mean, a lot of those guys do have history. So it would have been okay. I just think that should have been a requirement. All I'm saying is this tournament was a fine idea in theory. The execution just wasn't great. Execution could have been a little better. Could have been John Cena handpicking these guys to be in the tournament. Could be something that was sprinkled throughout the whole year. It's a 16-man gauntlet. John Cena has one match. He has to face all 16 men. I don't know. There's another one right there. Jeff Hardy. That would have been a fun surprise. There's a little bit of history with John Cena. CM Punk could have been in the tournament. I know, again, we saw that match before, but still. Some guys that could have been in there. I don't know. All I'm saying, it was a good idea in theory. Execution fell just a little bit short. All right, before we get out of here, we're running a little longer than I normally do. Appreciate you guys being tuned in with us. A couple of things from Friday Night SmackDown that I want to touch on before we get out of here. This incredible mixed tag team match that's going to happen this Friday between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, getting back together to face Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, or Zelina, as it looks like on this graphic. They've dropped the last name. Now, I mentioned this earlier. This Cody Rhodes, Aleister Black thing must be a one-off, a weird one-off, because we're totally ignoring it. We're going back to Cody and Drew, and we're going back to Priest and Aleister. I know that those guys got involved in the match, but still, it's like we're going backwards. I like Aleister and Zelina versus Rhea and Damian, but I talked about Cody kind of being in a state of limbo. And then around War Games, we talked about Rhea Ripley really being in a state of limbo. And this proves it to me. I don't know that this was the long-term plan to always have Rhea come in and get involved in this situation or not. I don't know. But it just seems like they don't have a lot to do. I don't have a lot for Rhea Ripley right now. She's accompanying Io Sky in a match on Raw. It just doesn't make any sense for arguably the biggest star on the women's roster or biggest star in the whole company. That's why I made the point last week that I think Liv Morgan is the face of the women's division, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Mixed tag team match. Priest, Rhea, Zelina, Aleister. Very much looking forward to it on Friday night. Don't sleep on Zelina Vega. A really good wrestler does not get the love that she deserves. Maybe this is the blow off between Priest and Alistair. I don't know, but it should be a whole lot of fun. Carmelo Hayes is quickly becoming a very popular babyface. This was a quick change. And I don't know how they were able to do it. I don't know why he got so popular so fast. But Carmelo Hayes had some support behind him last Friday on SmackDown in that United States Open Challenge against Ilya Dragunov. Which brings me to, at a light bulb moment today, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have heard me talk a couple of times about how I just don't like Ilya Dragunov being the United States champion and doing this open challenge. And I had a light bulb moment today as I was watching Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov from Friday night. Real quick before I get to that light bulb moment. Dennis Durst, where is Bianca? Bianca's hurt. Bianca broke her wrist at WrestleMania. And apparently it's taken a lot longer to heal than she thought. I don't know if she had a setback. I don't know if she re-injured it. I don't know what the deal was. But she got injured, had surgery. So she's been out for a minute. Don't exactly know when she's gonna come back. So you guys that have followed this podcast know that I just can't put my finger on why I don't like Ilya Dragunov doing the United States Open Challenge. But I had a light bulb moment today as I was watching that match. And here's what it is. I think people get invested in a mystery opponent. They're excited, especially when it's a babyface like Carmelo Hayes. And they get behind them. And they really want them to win. I think this happened with Sami Zayn too. Like a Nakamura. When he had Nakamura. Especially when he had Cena. But the fans get behind the babyface. Or I'm sorry, the mystery opponent. And they want them to win. But then when they lose, it's unintentional heat on the fighting babyface who's trying to do the right thing, trying to give people an opportunity as this fighting U.S. champion, but they get heat put on them unintentionally. Especially when a heel gets involved and costs them the match. Now I know that Ilya Dragunov looked at the replay, talked to Nick Aldis. He was upset about the way it ended, blah, 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 blah. But in the moment, people don't remember that backstage interaction. They remember what happened in the ring. They remember heel interference. Therefore, more unintentional heat gets put on the fighting babyface champion. And I just don't think that Ilya Dragunov has the credibility with the audience to overcome this. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe dude's going to go out and put on 4 and 5 star matches every week on SmackDown. I don't know. I just don't know that he has the credibility to fight through this. So that's been my light bulb moment with the U.S. Championship. So the way to fix that, book him against heels. Don't do the open challenge. That's some ways to fix it. That's what I would do. So, there you go. All right, what a show it's been. 55-ish minutes. Appreciate you guys being tuned in. If you missed our big announcement at the top of the show, I'll give it to you again because I am dang proud of it. Next week, date and time TBD. Make sure you're locked into our socials and we'll let you know. Squared Circle Radio. Chris Belcher, Andy York, and the late great Jared Justice will be inducted into the Sports Wire Radio Hall of Fame. Again, to think that this podcast that Jared and I created a long time ago is worthy enough to be in any Hall of Fame is pretty freaking cool. So that's going to come up next week. We're so stoked about it. Again, stay locked into our social medias and we'll let you know exactly when that program is going to happen. That way you guys can watch it live. City Kitty in the chat, congratulations. Thank you. It's people like you that continue to keep us going. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who are checking out the show. Again, I wish more than anything that this Hall of Fame induction could have happened with my brother from another mother here with us. But I know he's sitting right beside of us. I know he's watching, and I know he is proud. Jared, I love you, brother. Every episode from here on out, obviously, you will be right in the middle of it. Maybe not physically, but right in the middle of it. So, we appreciate all of you guys being with us. Appreciate all the support. If you're a new listener, make sure you subscribe to the show. Hopefully you like what you heard, and you're going to join us next Monday for a live edition of Squared Circle Radio. We'll be right here with you. Following Monday Night Raw, don't forget a live show after Saturday night's main event. Next Saturday, or this coming Saturday. Don't forget, live show. Hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun as we celebrate John Cena's final match. So, until then, thank you so much again for being right here with us. My name is Chris Belcher. This has been another live edition of Squared Circle Radio. We will catch you guys down the road.